Welcome back to our channel where we share updates and untold stories about Catherine, Princess of Wales, and her royal family. Today we bring you some news. Princess Anne's bold move against Camilla's ambitious plan to protect Catherine's inheritance. An insider source claims that Queen Camilla altered the tiara regulations for royal ladies during the incident. Princess Anne, during a private meeting with King Charles Camilla and other senior working royals, addressed how Camilla undermined the late Queen's regulations regarding access to the royal jewelry collection, which is to be inherited by Princess Catherine and Princess Charlotte, as stipulated in the late Queen's will. The increasing affection of Princess Anne for Charles revealed the unsettling reality that Camilla is attempting to usurp everything from Princess Catherine. This film will examine Princess Anne's decision to safeguard the royal heritage for Catherine and Charlotte. Following the historic coronation of King Charles III, the British monarchy underwent a period of profound transformation. During that period, they had to strike a delicate balance between the institution's centuries-old traditions and their desire to modernize and simplify it. The public's messages emphasized formality and consistency, but there seem to have been many private discussions and disagreements over protocol, especially about the use and maintenance of royal jewels. Princess Anne, the sole sister of the king and a member of the royal family, and Queen Camilla, who had just become queen consort, are two of the most important female characters in these narratives. A mosaic of royal insider accounts and remarks has emerged revealing divergent views on the function of regalia under the new king. Reportedly, Princess Anne's measured but decisive involvement to protect Queen Elizabeth II's legacy and ensure that the Princess of Wales will inherit certain objects in the future stemmed from this argument. In this piece, we put the reported disputes into perspective. It notes that the coronation did not include tiaras, goes on to detail a later private quarrel over who would preserve artifacts from the late Queen's collection, and ponders the symbolic significance of these artifacts. It also considers the potential outcomes for the House of Windsor as it strives to strike a balance between tradition and development, placing the principal characters in their established roles, and examines the institutional and familial factors that led to their positions. A new approach to the coronation and traditional practices. All throughout the world, people were quite excited about King Charles III and Queen Camilla's coronation on May 6, 2023. The new king and queen's personality and goals were shown via the meticulous organization of the event, which blended traditional traditions with modern ones. It was always King Charles's intention to have a slimmed-down celebration. Decisions on the guest list, the duration of the service, and most importantly, the attire and conduct expected of guests were all influenced by that concept. Putting on an event that paid tribute to the monarchy's grandeur, while also demonstrating that it is more restrained and modern in keeping with contemporary tastes, and the larger message of a smaller, more budget-conscious monarchy was the major objective, at least publicly. The absence of traditional tiaras from the female members of the royal family was one item that garnered much notice during the ceremony. To contrast, several members of the nobility and royal family wore jeweled crowns at the 1953 coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. At that moment, the vibe was all about ceremonial grandeur. The design, however, was more subdued in 2023. While the male members of the royal family wore floral headpieces, hats, or even Princess Anne's military uniform, only Queen Camilla sported a tiara. The Princess of Wales Catherine opted for a Jess Colette x Alexander McQueen headpiece adorned with crystal flowers and silver bullion. A smaller piece that complemented it was worn by her daughter, Princess Charlotte. Princess Anne had a unique approach to her official duties as gold stick-in-waiting the sovereign's ceremonial personal aide-de-camp. The bicorn hat and plumes typical of that duty were part of her Blues and Royals outfit. The modest exhibition of regalia was a part of a bigger attempt to renovate the palace, according to palace officials. They aimed to provide an accessible spectacle that was less flashy in order to convey that they understood the present economic climate. The Crown Jeweller Jewel House staff and lieutenant of the Tower of London collaborated to stage a meticulously orchestrated public presentation that minimized the display of personal jewelry and emphasized the investiture of the monarch and the symbolic importance of the coronation regalia. According to observers, the focus remained squarely on the sovereigns throughout the crucial ceremonial moments of crowning and anointing due to the reduced use of visual embellishments. A clear example of the royal family's attention to detail was their choice to crown Queen Camilla with Queen Mary's crown, a historically significant artifact that had been restored for the event, but had been altered to remove the Koh-i-Noor diamond. Much attention was drawn to such alteration since the Koh-i-Noor has long served as a symbol in debates over reparations and colonialism. The presence of this jewel on the crown of a British monarch has long baffled diplomats and ethicists. In this instance, some felt that removing the stone from display would acknowledge the differences and prevent more confrontation. Procedure optics and foreign relations were all impacted by the decision. Many wondered whether the absence of tiaras on other female royals was only a stage effect or if it was a deliberate policy shift to modernize the monarchy's image. But there were many in the royal family who thought there was more to the tale than that. These representations demonstrated that Queen Camilla wished to stand out from the crowd that day by donning an elaborate jeweled crown. Insiders say this was in line with an unofficial goal to reduce the future use of ceremonial attire at state functions. Certain referred to this noticeable arrangement as a tiara ban, implying that certain courtiers and observers saw the decision as more than just ornamental. Because it suggests both a shift in what individuals are permitted to do and a regulation about how things should seem, the term ban is crucial. Even little deviations from tradition might be seen as threats to authority in royal households, where unspoken rules and previous choices can have significant sway. Observers at the palace looked for hidden meanings about the distribution of ceremonial privilege in the decision, which was formally presented in neutral terms of modernity and fiscal consciousness. For traditionalists, it was a strategy to ensure that the new queen maintained her own public persona while simultaneously shielding the Princess of Wales and other popular royals from public scrutiny. The significance of the tiara. You must grasp the significance of these items in order to comprehend the reason for this disagreement. Royal jewels such as tiaras are more than just beautiful, they are potent emblems of rank, heritage, and perpetuity. Artifacts displayed at state banquets, diplomatic receptions, coronations, and other white tie occasions have visually communicated stories of family history and hierarchy for ages. A semiotic repertoire includes these components. Their attendance or lack thereof at an event may have the same impact on attendees' perceptions as a well-crafted speech. Because of this, jewelry may serve as a movable museum. A piece of art's provenance, including its previous owner's wearers and photographic documentation, might shape contemporary perceptions of the piece. As an example, when a consort wears a tiara that belonged to a famous queen in the past, it creates a continuity. The intricate timing of who wears what, when highlights at a glance the continuity of public service and lines of descent. These visual cues contribute to a sense of community and serve as a constant reminder of the monarchy's legitimacy, which rests on ritual and tradition. Within the realm of royal circles, Queen Elizabeth II's gem collection is among the most renowned. It includes everything she commissioned, inherited, and received as presents over her lengthy life. There are a few tiaras that have instantly become iconic royal icons. One example is the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, which was given as a wedding gift to Queen Mary in 1893 and has since become a favorite of Queen Elizabeth II and is closely associated with the popular perception of the late Queen. The Vladimir tiara, with its interchangeable pearl and emerald drops, is a reminder of the interconnected European dynasties and a symbol of historical links that extend beyond Britain. Princess Diana's association with the Queen Mary Lover's Knot tiara will last a lifetime. Its subsequent wearers, like Catherine, have given it a wide range of symbolic connotations. Borrowing a tiara from the sovereign's collection is a significant event for younger relatives, since the person temporarily possessing it is linked to the past. The Princess of Wales often wears the lover's knot tiara to state occasions, and it is often associated with Diana. For people of all ages, this creates a visual bridge. Not only that, but Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice also wore treasures from the royal vault to their wedding ceremonies. Queen Elizabeth II wore one of these tiaras on her wedding day, the Queen Mary Fringe tiara. This illustrates the significance of these items as mementos of significant life occasions. An additional gesture of support and confidence is the lending of valuable jewelry. A symbolic endorsement occurs when the sovereign is willing to provide something to a member of their family. It is a symbol of the recipient's status as a family member and an example of the kind of conduct that is fitting for a prominent heir to the family name. A change in endorsement occurs when lending an object is no longer done, or when the practice is discontinued totally. What this implies is that the regulations regarding the public display of the monarchy's grandeur via formal attire are undergoing certain changes. Due to the informal nature and historical basis of many such agreements, they are subject to modification in response to changes in family requirements. A collection of royal regalia, distinct from individual royal gems, is known as the crown jewels. Artifacts used in the ceremonial investiture of royal authority, the crown jewels are symbolic possessions of the state. The constitutional foundations of monarchy are intimately connected to the former. Consider the sovereign's orb and scepter. These are not personal nor movable symbols of choice. Rather, they remain state property. Personal and familial relationships are shown by the final category, which consists of private tiaras, necklaces, and brooches. Giving the organization access to your own jewels for formal occasions shows confidence in yourself and the group. They are a sign of the sender's faith in the recipient and the passing on of tradition. So for others, the suggestion of a universal ban on these artifacts was an attempt to undermine a long-established set of symbols that demonstrate the status and continuity of the monarchy. From this vantage point, traditionalists were worried about the purported tiara ban, for two reasons. First, it altered a visual language that was already recognizable to them, and second, it seemed to diminish the ceremonial signals that had long contributed to the mystery surrounding the monarchy. Many people believe that the ceremonial traditions of the monarchy are an important aspect of its public appeal, and they worry that the marginalization of these symbols has affected the institution's public image. Princess Anne allegedly intervened out of concern for the future of tradition, according to many who knew her. She took great care to honor the late Queen's sentiments and was known for her heavy-duty load. Defiant Princess Anne, a resilient defender. The public perceives Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, as sensible, realistic, and duty-bound. This is a reputation she has worked hard to cultivate. Her reputation has been built throughout the years of public service due to the sheer volume and seriousness of her official responsibilities. Those who keep tabs on royal life often refer to her as the hardest-working relative. Not only does she appear often, but her title also reflects the wide range of roles she serves, including patronage of charities, in-person inspections of organizations, representation of the crown domestically, and overseas and military affiliations. Officials and the general people alike admire her because she gets things done without making a fuss. As a public servant, Anne has always given her all. Her earnestness as a diplomat, group leader, and crown representative at state occasions has inspired confidence in government. Personal branding has had less of an impact on her reputation than it has on other members of her family. She continues to concentrate on her work and honors her commitments. This is the defining characteristic that distinguishes her as an administrative person rather than an actor. She places a premium on conformity, tradition preservation, and order in established organizations. Because she was the only daughter, Princess Anne had a unique relationship with the late Queen Elizabeth II. According to biographers and court employees, Anne inherited many of the characteristics often associated with Elizabeth II, including a stern demeanor, a strong work ethic, and a deep reverence for institutional stability. People often said that she was a valued counselor to the Queen. She overheard several conversations about the monarchy's future and the late Queen's personal tastes, including rumors about her detailed intentions for her jewels. Because of their shared ancestry, Princess Anne became, in effect, a custodian of Elizabeth II's heritage. Her position as the daughter of the Queen gave her particular influence when symbols of family and institutions converged, but she is not the only member of her family to accomplish this. According to the legends, Anne was opposed to the widespread abandonment of regalia because she thought it was crucial for the people to acknowledge this vital historical continuity. She allegedly reacted differently to the purported policy shift because of the self-imposed obligation she felt to safeguard Elizabethan principles. Public dramatization and excessive royal theatrics are things that Anne finds repugnant. Rather, she prefers to converse privately in an informal and practical manner. Reportedly, she saw the apparent attempt to limit the display of tiaras as an unwelcome departure from the 70-year tradition established by the late Queen. Thus, her response was motivated by a desire to preserve the ceremonial assets that uphold the monarchy's public image, as well as by a personal obligation to her mother's memory. Throughout her life, Princess Anne has consistently stood up for what she believed in rather than what was popular, and her public advocacy of institutional norms is consistent with this. Making sure charitable promises are honored, advocating for the correct way to do things with military organizations, and ensuring that the groups she is working with obey norms of conduct are all examples of her sometimes unsung but crucial actions. The late Queen allegedly secretly relied on her elder royal status and her role as a daughter to assist her with household matters and legacy preparations. As a result of participating in these pursuits and inheriting her mother's trust, Anne became an expert in jewels. Controversy surrounds royal jewels. It would seem that the question of who could access which diamonds became a very personal and important one after the coronation, when the new monarchy began to establish its own regulations. According to many unnamed sources close to the situation, Princess Anne confided in Queen Camilla about her concerns during a private meeting. The reports go like this: as part of the continuing drive to modernize the conference, began by discussing broad topics such as whether or not the custom of wearing huge tiaras and other ceremonial jewels at official ceremonies should be reduced. Legend has it that Princess Anne, who inherited tiaras like the Meander tiara and the aquamarine pine flower tiara from her father's grandmother, battled to keep these treasured pieces in their customary roles. Rumor has it that she emphasized how crucial it is for the monarchy's public image and worldwide status to have artifacts like this, as they contribute to the spectacle and gravity of the institution. According to those familiar with the royal family's inner workings, gatherings like this one are usual. When making decisions on symbolic objects, it is common practice to speak with individuals of various generations, as well as senior family members, housekeepers, and consultants, about the best way to display the items to the public. Those in the know said the meeting was significant because it reconciled two competing goals: the new king's pledge to modernize and humble the monarchy, and the demand that specific external symbols be maintained to ensure the ceremonial significance and continuity of the monarchy. There have been rumors that things became heated when people started talking about things that belonged to Queen Elizabeth II. According to those in the know, Queen Camilla wished she could borrow or borrow again some of the late Queen's most renowned jewels for state functions or to adorn her own regalia. The Queen Consort has official access to the royal vaults for certain ceremonial functions according to royal sources, but some things in Elizabeth II's personal collection are believed to be extremely personal and strongly linked to the late Queen's public image. Therefore, there is a distinction. Princess Anne stepped in at that time, according to all the reports. Rumor has it that Queen Elizabeth II made it quite clear that she had put a lot of effort into carefully documenting her collection and providing specific instructions concerning certain of her possessions. Legend has it that the late queen left certain possessions to her future consorts either by explicitly mentioning them to the heir apparent's bride or by implying that she had done so. Rumor has it that Princess Anne, who was well-versed in both the royal family's secret traditions and her own intentions, drew a clear line with her demands. The fact that the purported dispute did not revolve on petty envy or personal preferences highlights the significance of the categorizing and teaching problem. The focus instead shifted to the security of an inheritance plan which safeguards the future representation of a monarch by remembering their personal possessions. According to many who knew the late queen, she was quite picky about who she let use her possessions. Over the course of her rule, she managed both public and private estates. These sorts of pacts are usually more rooted in custom than in formal legislation under monarchs. Because of this, they put their faith in the kindness and consideration of others who will follow in their footsteps. The accounts that have been pieced together indicate that the encounter was awkward, but not aggressive. They assert that Queen Camilla was diplomatic and made it seem as if her desire was rooted in serving the crown, implying that access to certain jewels was an official obligation. Anne, in contrast, was forthright. She allegedly insisted that these artifacts should be considered unique artifacts, serving a particular function in establishing a direct line of succession rather than generic assets. Since she was the daughter of the late queen and had control over her mother's wealth and personal matters, the sources establish that she had jurisdiction over the issue. That's for Queen Catherine in the future. Princess Anne allegedly made a statement to stop the issue, which is one of the most intriguing things to emerge out of these tales. As the subject shifted to a renowned jewel that was widely believed to have been one of the late queen's most significant and well-known tiaras, Anne allegedly concluded the discussion by saying, "That's for future Queen Catherine." If this remark is genuine, it confirms the institution's continued existence in a way that goes beyond just providing one item. The practice of preserving rank badges and insignia for the straight line of succession has a long history in the royal family, and this serves to emphasize that norm. Catherine, Princess of Wales, who is marrying the heir apparent and will become queen consort in due time, was the intended beneficiary in this instance. The significance of such a comment may be understood on several levels. Part of it is a claim about the jewel's provenance and the rightful heirs. Queen Elizabeth II had specific intentions for the future of particular things, and her successors were expected to carry them out. Additional interpretations place the phrase firmly in the Princess of Wales's protective sphere. It states that the visual link between the grandmother of the current king and the bride of the heir apparent must be preserved. According to many who work at the court, Catherine was highly regarded by Queen Elizabeth II due to her demeanor and apparent suitability for the position of queen consort. Rumor has it that the late monarch secretly divulged some of his interests and laid out a plan for the use of certain objects to keep visual links across generations. So Princess Anne's purported use of those preferences is the execution by a daughter who received a portion of the late queen's private fortune of the queen's mandated intentions. Keep in mind that the story's proponents argue that Princess Anne's participation was not an attempt to be cruel to Queen Camilla. They claim that the emphasis was on the institution itself, namely the defense of a plan to preserve the monarchy and provide the future queen consort certain symbols of office. It is reported that Anne put an end to the argument and altered the family's policies on the upkeep of its most prized possessions by claiming that some of them were intended for Catherine. Protecting the road. Ahead of the future queen, many believe that Catherine, Princess of Wales, would one day become queen consort, and this belief and Anne's apparent resistance revolve around her. She has shown a keen awareness of the symbolic dimensions of her position during her tenure with the royal family. Her taste in jewelry and apparel has been seen by many as a deliberate form of expression. She pays homage to tradition while expressing her modernity. A lot of people felt that she found a medium ground by wearing a floral crown for the coronation. Not only was it appropriate for the occasion, but it also avoided drawing attention to the fact that anybody was trying to outdo the new queen. Such sensitivity and symbolism have always characterized her public persona. Catherine has always been cautious with her public persona in an effort to maintain the status quo. To provide just one example, her wardrobe choices often allude to former lovers and long-standing royal fashion standards. She has shown her thrift and practicality by repurposing clothing, and she has worn historically significant brooches and jewelry as a tribute to her ancestors. These choices have elevated her status in her own nation and painted her as a consort with a firm grasp of the royal family's visual language. Ensuring daughter Catherine receives some of the late Queen's most renowned paintings safeguards the visual narrative of the monarchy, which is important for a dynasty that is aware of how rapidly public opinion may shift. In this perspective, the symbolic connection between the late Queen and the future generation of royal life may be strengthened by gaining access to Elizabeth II's most iconic possessions. As a purposeful visual connection, the photo of Catherine wearing a tiara or crown that belonged to her husband's grandmother will demonstrate the continued strength of the institution and the possibility of passing duty down through the generations. These artifacts not only look great, but they also help preserve institutional memory by establishing a direct line from one dynasty to another. Since Catherine often discusses Diana, Princess of Wales, in public, this asset protection is of utmost importance. Things that have been linked to Diana for a long time to Catherine include the lover's knot tiara and the sapphire engagement ring that belonged to the late princess. For the general population, these artifacts evoke emotions and memories. Such choices have been seen by many as understated expressions of reverence for a past that many people hold in high regard. People say that by preserving a few diamonds from Elizabeth II for Princess Anne and Catherine, the visual tapestry that links all the women who were consorts remained preserved. If the rumors are to be believed, Anne's actions solidified a narrative that connects the reigns of Diana, the late queen, and the prospective consort. Catherine is reportedly thankful for her aunt's protective attitude, even if she seldom discusses private family matters in public. According to those in the know, the two women get along well because they both feel obligated to the institution and respect one another. It would seem that Anne believes Catherine would be a suitable successor to Elizabeth II. She has the qualities necessary to fulfill both the public and private responsibilities of a royal, including caring for the next generation's monarch. The aftermath and fragmentation. Within families, it would seem that the family has been affected by Princess Anne's purported involvement, leading to a slight change in dynamics inside. The people who knew King Charles well said that he was in a difficult situation. While he was very loyal to Queen Camilla, he also respected his sister's discretion and the special bond she had with their mother, as well as her wishes. Rumors circulating among royal insiders place emphasis on the king's discreet handling of the matter, which took into consideration his personal connections, as well as the institution's need to avoid public controversy. Prince William, who will succeed Anne as queen, thought highly of her deeds. His story's acceptance of Anne's viewpoint demonstrates his close relationship with his aunt and their shared dedication to protecting the monarchy's core principles. Rumor has it that the tragedy cemented William and Anne's bond, which aided an inner circle concerned with maintaining certain ritual practices. That internal harmony is critical, since the choices the immediate heirs make regarding the monarchy's visual identity and ceremonial practices greatly affect public perception of the institution over time. This episode demonstrates to Queen Camilla the difficulty consorts have in balancing the needs of their family with those of the public. The constitutional and ceremonial requirements for Camilla's status as queen consort are subject to review in light of her personal history, her connections with other people, and the sovereign's decisions. The practicality of her wish to access objects from the vaults, to use the visual history of the royal family in the course of her official duties, is debatable, but the opposition she encountered highlights the connection between personal histories, the politics of succession, and the symbolic sharing of artifacts. Some said the incident demonstrated the need for extreme caution if the desires of a live consort conflict with those of a deceased monarch. Although most of the claims were made by anonymous sources, there were several instances when individuals were inclined to back Princess Anne. Many people who follow the royal family on social media and elsewhere expressed their support. Many lauded her for her unwavering dedication to maintaining the status quo. The public and many experts saw her participation as a stand for the institution above personal preferences. They said she is a powerful, reserved figure who fights to keep the monarchy's traditions alive. The woman who emphasized the need of staying connected to the past was lauded by several members of the public who value such qualities. According to palace watchers, this incident prompted a strategic retreat from the most stringent version of the proposed tiara ban. In November 2023, for instance, the Princess of Wales wore the Strathmore Rose Tiara, a public sighting in nearly a century, to the state banquet for the President of South Korea. The decision was interpreted by many as an attempt to maintain tradition while simultaneously highlighting the immense wealth held by the royal vault. Rumor has it that Queen Camilla continues to carry out her public duties with poise and a strong feeling of duty, but that the family is becoming increasingly delicate when it comes to ceremonial protocol and jewel handling. Careful observers of the situation report a sense of relief, explaining that a contentious issue was subtly resolved, preventing a public uproar. When a family must weigh their personal ties against the demands of the nation, the show demonstrates how precarious familial consensus can be. The reached compromise is a reasonable middle ground since it allows for some innovation while yet preserving certain traditions. However, discussions are far from over. As a system that questions long-held beliefs and privileges, the monarchy must adapt to the shifting tides of public opinion, media coverage, and the relevance of symbolic objects. Impact on a larger scale and prospective results. Beyond the intimate familial ties at the heart of the gem dispute, the larger question of how the Carolingian monarchy would strike a balance between seriousness and showiness emerges. The Crown continues to use public events as a means of influencing public opinion. Diplomatic ties, tourism, and the country's image may all benefit from state visits, investitures, and formal dinners which get widespread media coverage. Opponents of further reductions in symbolic opulence argue that the monarchy risks diluting its global brand, its ability to pique curiosity and demonstrate stability if this trend continues. Conversely, those who are sensitive to concerns of inequity and historical injustice may be turned off by constant costly displays. The ongoing debate over provenance is another facet. Taking the Koh-i-Noor from Queen Mary's crown at her coronation exemplifies the confluence of contemporary concerns with artifacts from the colonial past and ceremonial pomp. There will be ongoing policy discussions on the Royal Collections Administration, including its display donation and recognition of historical linkages. Though intended as attempts to accommodate modern sensibilities, attempts to restrict or alter the meaning of certain objects may encounter resistance from individuals who believe that the legitimacy of the monarchy depends on its continuity. Priority setting by institutions is another consequence. With the help of senior royals, the practice of preserving specific relics for the direct line of succession has a better chance of becoming a distinct tradition and reducing uncertainty for future generations. In contrast, parties to a long-running dispute may seek to formalize their agreement by means of a written will, codified lists, or mutually agreed-upon household regulations. This would make ownership and intended usage more transparent. Concerns about personal privacy and the desire of the royal family to keep their private lives out of the spotlight would inevitably arise in any process of formalization. Last but not least, the narrative highlights the inherent humanity in constitutional symbols. Institutions change with time as a result of personal relationships, including loyalty, respect, resentment, and attachment. Caring for items with sentimental importance is never only a job. It is rife with meaning about identity and memories. Who wears what and how the monarchy appears to a changing public are both impacted by how the family handles these feelings privately. Final thoughts. Carolean traditions and revolutions. As a symptom of the broader set of tensions that accompany a period of constitutional and symbolic change, Princess Anne and Queen Camilla's purported private spat about who gets to wear royal jewels has surfaced. This exemplifies the ongoing conflict between the new king's desire to humanize the monarchy and the public's need for the traditional ceremonial elements of the institution. A more contemporary, financially sensible, and compact monarchy is what King Charles desires. The natural want to preserve the visual and ceremonial traditions that have influenced people's perceptions of the crown for a long time is at odds with this, particularly among traditionalists. Additionally, the story demonstrates how institutional decisions may be influenced by personal relationships. On top of being a public job, running a royal household is like running a family, complete with intricate webs of loyalties, memories, and personal trusts. Disputes over heirlooms reveal more than just a desire for aesthetic value. They also reveal a need to legitimize one's future by referencing one's past. More than merely a matter of ceremonial attire, the purported participation of Princess Anne has been seen by many as a defense of symbolism and lineage. This is an assertion on narrative stewardship, specifically regarding the authority to choose symbols that link the monarchy's past, present, and future. Princess Anne's claimed intervention has solidified her role as a soothing influence in the family, according to many. Those in the royal family's inner circle see her as a keeper of the legacy of the throne and a guardian of the succession. Rather than being an act of defiance, her demand was seen by those in the know as a duty of care. In her view, the direct line of succession and other future bearers of important institutional duties should be entrusted with the monarchy's legacy. If the rumors are to be believed, Princess Anne did more than just transfer items to Queen Catherine. She also secured the preservation of some pieces from Queen Elizabeth II's collection. This guaranteed the perpetuation of the symbolic that links kings. Her privileged, powerful position demonstrated how Buckingham Palace's history influences its present and future. A crucial aspect of the monarchy's evolution throughout the Carolean era would be the conflict between reform and tradition, as shown by figures like Princess Anne and Queen Camilla. There is tangible authority represented by the crown, which has been around for a long time. It rests upon many centuries of heritage. The clarity and faithfulness with which that history is transmitted is determined by those who safeguard it. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts, and goodbye for now.